and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton, and today we are going to have some tips for you about traveling with a special needs child. Traveling with any kid is a bit of a challenge, but when you add on special needs on top of that, there are some things you can do to make it more successful. My guest is Alvean Lyons, our Healthy Families Consultant. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is hard.
It can be
traveling
challenging.
with kids is hard. And around the holidays is a time when people frequently take to the road, summer vacation. There's a lot of traveling.
Absolutely. And if you add, as you mentioned, if you add the additional element of your child having special medical, emotional, mental needs, it does add, sometimes some additional stress or pressure in preparing for all of that. And I happen to be a mom of a special needs child who, had special medical needs since he was 4 years old. So this for me is something that is very personal and very real because it's something that we had to go through every single holiday, and certainly anytime we wanted to go visit family or have a little excursion, there are a lot of things we had to think about in preparation for that. So being able to share information that could be useful to other parents to help reduce some of that pressure and that stress and to make an experience that's meant to be a positive one even better is something that we would love to do. For the City of Hampton and Healthy Families, we want our families to really enjoy themselves. And we have so many beautiful things that people can come from all over the nation to enjoy here in our Hampton Roads area that we want it to be a good and very positive experience for them. So we have a simple little, me with tools and an acronym that helps to make it a little easier in terms of your checkoffs. So the word is TRIP. TRIP.
That's logical.
Of course, we're getting ready to take one, but let's make it a good trip. So what's the first thing that we need to be mindful of? So T, take what you need with you. My child needs insulin. So I had to be very mindful of the fact that I needed to have enough of his medication with me. I needed to make sure that we had necessary backups for things in the event that he lost his insulin pen or we couldn't get to a pharmacy or something to be able to fix a situation. If a pen broke or we didn't have enough needles with us, we needed to make sure that we took enough with us.
Right.
When we're traveling in the car, long trips, being mindful of necessary snacks that we were going to need.
Because it disrupts the routine,
and so
that can make a huge difference for a medical condition, neurological condition, autism, anything.
Absolutely. And I was just going to say that going along with the idea of if you have an autistic child, because one of my very good friends has an autistic son, so we have to be very mindful that if there's any traveling going on, do we have with us necessary games, things that make him more comfortable, that he has something that he can do that makes this transition less stressful for him, and he can engage in a way that feels comfortable for him. So having games to be able to take with him, having the necessary snacks. Sometimes kids need comfort items. It might be a teddy bear, it might be a blanket, it might be something special that they carry with them. It may be an action figure that makes them feel safe. So when they're having experiences that are unusual for them, we're transitioning, and there's a lot of stimuli going on, and we're transitioning to unfamiliar spaces. Having items with you, be it your medication, be it your favorite books, your favorite toys, your favorite snacks, all lend themselves to that actual process being more comfortable for the child. And certainly as parents, the more comfortable our kids are, the better it is for us too. Because if you're sitting on an airplane and your kid is screaming, you might have learned to tune that out, but none of the other passengers have. So we want to make sure that, hey, if we're going to be doing this, we've done everything we can to reduce the possibility of any of the meltdowns that can come with that stimuli, the closed spaces, the long durations, the changes and fluctuations in my hunger versus what I'm able to access, what I need in terms of blood sugar levels. The list goes on and on. But the fact is that if we take with us those additional things that we may need, we make it possible to reduce some of those things that can contribute to it really being an unpleasant process.
Right, okay.
Then R, research. Do your research ahead of time. Do you know where you're going? Do you know where there's a local pharmacy? Do you know whether or not there are any pediatricians you can access? Do you know whether or not there's a hospital relatively nearby? Can you access an urgent care? Is there some place that if your child really does well in open spaces, that although you may be in a closed zone, your hotel, whatever it may be, that there are places that you can take your child that is not overly stimulating, that he or she can decompress a little bit in that space. Sometimes parks are excellent for autistic children. Being able to have a calm, open space where you don't feel encroached upon helps them to relax a little bit more. Being able to see the ducks, being able to see people walk calmly with their pets, all kinds of calm stimuli can be very relaxing for the child. But do you have access to any of these areas? Is this hotel a hotel that is ideal for small children? We travel all over the place, and you know that there's some hotels that are great if you're going on a couple's getaway or if it's a business trip, but they are not ideal for children. So sometimes the thing that is available to us may not be the thing that's ideal for our kids. So we might need to stay a couple miles further away to be able to choose an environment that's really in the best interest of who we're taking with us. So doing your research ahead of time is really helpful in reducing the possibility that you're in an experience or an environment that isn't conducive to what your child needs. And make sure you have access to the things that are super important, particularly if we're dealing with medical needs, because gosh, emergencies can be rough.
I will tell you, as they get older, you trust them to do more and more.
Right.
And trusted my child to pack his medications. And we get to Atlanta, and oops, I thought they were in my laptop bag. And knowing ahead of time now, because we use a national pharmacy chain, I know where the closest one is to my brother's house, and we can get those refills, or they'll give us, just a few to get through the trip or things like. But knowing what all those backups are and having gone through it,
huge. And just like you said,
I've also learned now he's still not quite old enough to pack everything and to
on
not
his own.
be checked.
Absolutely.
So I have learned that too.
And so some of that
That's
research,
T and R right there.
Some of that research can be very helpful in making sure that you're taking what you need to take with you. Because some of the places you may be vacationing, there isn't a pharmacy for miles. So if this is something that we need to get on a schedule, or that we need to get in order to be able to function, you need to have enough of whatever that is with you on your person. And your
check it in baggage.
Exactly. And your research will help you to be clear about how much you may need to take with you because of where you're going to be. So that T and that R, they work together in tandem very, very closely. Then we get to I, information. You need to provide as much information as you can for your family in preparation for the trip. If you're going to be traveling, particularly if you're dealing with autism, because we have a lot, the autism spectrum is large.
Yes, and people don't understand.
And people are not familiar with what that really means sometimes. And it doesn't look the way that some people think that it looks, and it doesn't sound and feel the way some people think it sounds and feels. When we say large, it is very large. So when dealing with a child with autism, a lot of times their comforts, in order to not have some of, as parents would refer to, the meltdowns that I said before, inform them about where they're going. Let them know that this is when mommy and daddy are going to leave. This is where we're going. This is how long the trip is going to take. Sometimes for kids, they don't necessarily know what 3 hours is, but you can say to them, that is 6 cartoons. Okay? Like, they know what 6 cartoons are. They know that bubble guppies, if you do 6 bubble guppies, we will get to Aunt June's house. So being able to communicate with them in a way that makes sense for them, that takes, because time is an abstract concept. So breaking that down in a way that makes sense to your kids for the amount of time that it takes for us to watch all of this show that's your favorite show, we will get to Auntie So-and-so's or to the National Museum or, to the Black History Museum in DC, whatever it may be. That is information that is useful to the child. And it creates a level of comfort because I'm not scared because I don't know what's coming next. If you're going to visit people that they haven't seen in a long time, if you have pictures, being able to show them pictures and say, we're getting ready to go see this person, and this is her daughter, and this is her son, and that dog right there, that belongs to this person. All of that information really is helpful for a child because he or she feels empowered in the process. I know what I'm getting into, and my fears, I may be able to communicate some of those depending upon the age of your child. Will there be any kids for me to play with? Kids get nervous about that.
Yeah, they do.
Will
They're
there be
nervous about new kids, and they're nervous about not having
and
kids.
not having
Either way,
kids.
yeah.
Is there someone for me to talk to? Who am I going to hang out with? What are we going to do? Kids want to know that information too. We as adults want that information, but sometimes we forget that our kids need it too. And when your kid has a special medical need, emotional or social need, those things become increasingly more important. So as parents, we've got to communicate those things. And secondarily, whoever you're traveling with, make sure that they know what's going on where your kid is concerned. Because there may be a moment that you may be busy doing something else. You guys have gotten out for a few and somebody else might be, watching the kids, keeping an eye on them. Have you informed the adults that are going to be interacting with your kids and some of the teenagers sometimes about what's going on? Sometimes with kids, and I won't belabor this too long, but sometimes with kids, when they don't know that another child has special needs, they themselves cannot be very helpful in the process. They may pick on your kid because they had a little bit of a meltdown and not know that by yelling at them makes it worse. That this is what John needs right now. This is what Sarah needs right now. This is what Tyshawn needs right now. Whatever it is, if you can communicate those things, you are empowering other people to be able to be there for your kid in the way that your kid needs to, so that they don't fear every trip because of a bad experience they had last time. So information is super valuable. And then finally, P, plan for contingencies. Lots of times we think we've done everything we need to do because we got the one this, the one that, the one this. But then something happens. We get stuck in the airport. We didn't plan.
Oh, yeah, that's a bad one.
Oh, we didn't prepare for the flight to get canceled, and we're stuck in the airport for the layover for 3 hours rather than the 30 minutes that was originally the game plan.
You didn't have the right food with you. You didn't
Absolutely.
have the right.
Absolutely. We didn't bring any
games
we
or
didn't bring any
books.
toys. We didn't bring anything for them to distract them. So now we're crying in the airport, or every minute, is it time yet? Is it time yet? And you're already stressed out because this wasn't part of your plan either.
Right.
But the fact that your child is struggling right now really just escalates the stress. So in planning for contingencies, what happens if we get stuck in traffic and the 2-hour trip becomes 6 hours? Do I have enough snacks for my baby? Do I have enough diapers? Do I have, an extra porta potty? What do I have with me that is going to help? Because if you're potty training your child and their special needs and you're stuck in a car, there are a couple things you might need to have in place in order to be able to make that tense situation a little bit easier. So planning for contingencies is the final but super important thing that we need to do. We never know. We live in a very transient area in our Hampton roads. When something happens on a bridge, you can be stuck for hours.
That's for sure.
Do you have snacks in the car? Do you have water? Do you have music that the kid can listen to? All of those things make it better for both of you. So as we're traveling with our kids, every child, we need to be mindful of these things, but it becomes even more important when our child has special needs.
It does. And when you look, there are so many kids out there with special needs. ADHD is a huge one. And you cannot keep that child in a car for a really long period of time.
Exactly.
I mean, you have to plan some breaks with playgrounds or rest areas where they can run around and do stuff. Tourette's is an issue that we deal with, and you have to sometimes call ahead at restaurants and get a table back. You don't want to be in the middle of a nice restaurant if the kid's going to have, a lot of verbal or physical tics going on. So you have to think about what your kid needs and really make those arrangements. If you need a wheelchair, you've got to check to make sure, a lot of old restaurants haven't been retrofitted or don't have handicapped bathrooms. I mean, you have to look at all of that.
It's very true.
Hard, though.
Yeah,
it does, when you deal with it all the time, it becomes a little bit.
You get used to it?
You do.
Absolutely. But having that quick, okay, have I done my T? Have I done my R? Have I done my I? Have I done my P? make your trip positive by having your quick checklist to make sure you've done the things that you need to do as the parent to ensure that you have the most positive experience where the child is concerned. We forget a lot that we have parents who have additional things that are going on in their worlds. And in order to deal with all those things already, having just a clear and simple way to be able to be mindful of the things that could create major issues if forgotten, could make for a really positive experience if remembered. That's what's important to us. We want our families to enjoy their time together. We want them to spend more time together. But having a positive experience lends itself to more of those. When we have negative experiences, we're less likely to do that. And we don't want to rob each other of that quality time because we haven't thought through the things that can make it good.
Wonderful. Okay, so that's our handy checklist.
Absolutely.
So if you are traveling with a child who has special medical needs, neurological, whatever the case may be, think ahead about what will make the trip successful for your child. And T, take what you need.
Right.
R, research ahead of time. I, information. Don't keep all this bottled up inside your own head. Tell your child the information he or she needs to know so he can prepare. And P is
plan for the contingencies.
Plan for contingencies. As I said, because you need to know where the nearest pharmacy is.
Right.
You need to know what to do if you're stuck in an airport, if something gets lost or forgotten, or if an emergency occurs. So happy travels, and thanks for watching.